When a forgotten girl's life shatters in one night, a ruthless billionaire steps into the darkness, not to rescue her, but to uncover a truth hidden even from her. What happens next will leave you breathless till the final reveal. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more shocking, emotional stories. A silly girl was bullied by her family. Unexpectedly, CEOs saved her, took her home to pamper her. The story begins with 18-year-old Hanya, known in her family as the silly girl, the one people mocked for being too soft, too emotional, too dreamy to survive in a house full of wolves. Every morning, her stepmother, Shagufta, would throw chores at her like commands to a servant, and her stepsisters, Alina and Mewish, would laugh behind her back, treating her like an invisible shadow, good only for wiping floors and carrying trays. Her father, who once adored her, now avoided her gaze as if she reminded him of a truth he had buried long ago. The mansion felt like a golden cage, and Hanya lived inside it like a ghost, unseen, unheard, unwanted. But the night everything changed began like any other, with her crying alone in the old storage room, the only place where no one pretended she didn't exist. A sudden storm raged outside, and while lightning cracked across the sky, Hanya pressed a hand over her trembling chest, whispering to herself that someday someone would see her, even if it was a foolish dream. But fate, that cruel magician, had already started rewriting her story in ways she could never imagine. Just 2 miles away, the city's youngest billionaire CEO, Aris Zainon, a man feared for his coldness and admired for his unmatched business empire, was driving through the storm with a look of permanent ice carved into his face. For years, he had buried himself in work, emotionless, ruthless, carrying secrets heavier than gold bars and scars deeper than money could hide. He had built walls around his heart, walls higher than his skyscrapers, all to protect a secret he would rather die with than reveal. But that stormy night, destiny pushed these two broken souls toward a collision neither of them saw coming. As Aris's car raced past the quiet neighborhoods, a girl suddenly stumbled into the road, Hanya, running with tears streaking down her cheeks, clutching a bruised arm as if escaping something monstrous. He slammed the brakes, heart jolting for reasons he couldn't explain, and stepped out into the rain, seeing her terrified eyes widen at the sight of him. She whispered a single sentence before collapsing into his arms. They said, "I don't belong here." He didn't know why those words pierced him like a knife, but something about her felt familiar, too familiar. Without knowing her name, without knowing her truth, he lifted her into his car and made the decision that would change both their lives forever. "You're coming with me." When Hanya woke up in a luxurious penthouse, wrapped in soft blankets and surrounded by warm lighting instead of cruelty, she thought she was dreaming. But then she saw him, sitting beside her, Aris, the CEO whose face appeared on magazine covers and news headlines. She had seen him from afar on TV, a man rumored to have no heart, emotionless like steel. Yet the man watching over her looked almost worried. When Hanya tried to sit up, he stopped her gently, shocking even himself with the softness in his voice. "Who hurt you?" he asked. And she, terrified of returning home, whispered, "Please, don't send me back." That was the moment something cracked in Aris, something he didn't know still existed. He arranged medical care, hired guards, and ordered his staff not to question anything about the mysterious girl. He gave her a room full of sunlight, clothes she never thought she deserved, and food she hadn't tasted since her mother died. Every time she flinched, he felt anger burning inside him, a darkness he had kept caged for years, threatening to break free. But the strangest part was, the more he watched her, the more he felt drawn to her innocence, her vulnerability, her quiet bravery in the face of relentless cruelty. She would smile shyly at the smallest kindness, and her gratitude melted something frozen inside him. Meanwhile, her family panicked, not because she was missing, but because they feared a secret being exposed. They had plans for her, plans tied to money, inheritance, and a truth they had hidden from her since childhood. Aris, suspicious by nature, started investigating. The deeper he dug, the darker the truth became. His detective brought him files that made his blood run cold, documents showing that Hanya was not who she believed she was. She was not the silly, worthless girl they treated her as. She was the rightful heir to a massive estate, a fortune her stepmother had been stealing for years. Worse, her father wasn't avoiding her out of cruelty, but out of fear. Someone had threatened him long ago, warning him to keep Hanya away from the truth or face consequences. That someone was tied to Aris's past. While Hanya slowly healed and began to trust Aris, he grappled with a secret that poisoned his nights, the shocking discovery that her mother had once saved his life when he was a broken, abandoned child. He owed his survival to the woman who had given birth to Hanya. And now fate had brought her daughter into his home. The weight of that connection clawed at him because he wasn't sure if destiny was blessing him or punishing him. But their calm days didn't last. One night, Hanya woke screaming from a nightmare, the same nightmare she had seen since childhood. A fire, a shadowy figure, a woman crying her name. Aris rushed to her, holding her trembling body, as she choked out words she barely understood. "Why do I feel like someone is watching me?" She didn't know her family had secretly hired men to bring her back, not out of love, but out of greed. They feared Aris discovering the truth, feared losing the wealth they had stolen. And so the hunt began. One evening, while Hanya walked on the penthouse balcony, a hand suddenly grabbed her. Before she could scream, a masked man tried to drag her over the edge, but Aris appeared like a storm, punching the attacker with a fury that shocked even himself. The fight was brutal, messy, primal, Aris protecting her as if she were the only light left in his dark world. The attacker escaped, but he left behind a clue. A ring. A ring that belonged to someone Aris knew all too well, his own uncle, the man responsible for destroying his childhood. And now Aris understood, this wasn't just about Hanya's inheritance, it was about revenge. Two families, two pasts, two ruined childhoods tangled in a web of lies. Aris couldn't tell Hanya the truth yet, not until he was sure she was safe. But the more she protected her, the more she clung to him. She found comfort in her presence, warmth in her eyes, a home in his silence. She would cook for him, wait for him, talk to him about things she never told anyone. And he, the man who vowed never to feel anything again, began to fall for her without realizing it. But the biggest twist was waiting in the shadows. One day, while searching the old family archives, Aris found something that made his vision blur. A birth record showing Hanya was not only the rightful heir, she was his childhood fiancée, promised to him in an old alliance contract signed by their parents before tragedy ripped their families apart. The girl he had unknowingly protected, the girl he couldn't stop thinking about, was the very person fate had tied him to long before he understood what love meant. When Hanya learned the truth, it shattered her. She thought Aris had only helped her out of obligation, not affection. She ran from him, heartbreaking, tears blurring her vision, as she fled into the city night, straight into the trap her stepmother had set. They dragged her back, locking her in the same storage room she'd cried in all her life, telling her Aris never cared, that she was foolish to believe anyone could love her. But this time, Hanya wasn't alone. Because Aris arrived, like thunder, like vengeance, like a man who finally understood he couldn't live without her. He stormed the mansion with police, exposed every lie, every document, every bruise hidden beneath the surface. Her stepmother and sisters tried to escape, but the law closed in on them. When Aris found Hanya in that dusty storage room, collapsed from exhaustion and heartbreak, he fell to his knees beside her, lifting her into his arms with trembling hands. "You were never silly," he whispered, voice cracking. "You were never weak. You were never worthless. They tried to break you, but you survived. And I," he choked, pressing his forehead to her, "I'm the one who doesn't deserve you." She cried into his chest, gripping his shirt like it was the only real thing in her world. And then the final twist revealed itself. A letter her father had hidden inside the room, addressed to her, explaining everything, the threats, the past, the inheritance, and the truth that he never stopped loving her. He just didn't know how to protect her. The letter ended with one line: "If destiny brings you to the boy whose mother saved him, trust him. He will protect you when I no longer can." Hanya gasped as the truth hit her. Aris was the boy her mother had saved, the boy destiny had written into her story long before she even knew his name. When she looked at Aris, tears shining in her eyes, he cupped her face gently and said, "Come home with me, Hanya. Not because you need saving, but because I need you." And she, after a lifetime of loneliness, finally whispered the words fate had waited years to hear. "Take me home." And he did, carrying her out of the darkness and into a new life, a life where she was cherished, protected, and loved beyond anything she had ever dreamed. For the first time in forever, Hanya wasn't invisible. She wasn't unwanted. She wasn't a silly girl. She was his miracle. And he was her destiny.